Let's see. There we go.
Welcome in the latest episode of that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. I go by SEC Mike on Twitter. And there he is, everybody's favorite cousin Shane. How's it going, brother?
Hey, babe, what's going on?
Well, I should be asking you that, Shane, because you actually provided a photo. I'm going to throw this up real quick. But Shane's a man of his word.
Yeah.
He went walking these dogs, went to the shelter after Georgia got dog walked down there in Tuscaloosa. So how was it, Shane? And did they talk you into getting a new pet for your home?
No. Yeah. Oh, let me introduce everybody to my new buddy, King Henry. There he is. Let's see if he... Oh, yeah. No, the girls talked me into him. And I will tell you, brother, the care facility, really nice people up there. Surprised how many folks volunteer, quite a few. And if you've got a chance to go in for a day or so, you don't have to stay long. You could go in. They had me walking all the big uglies, the big dogs, as you saw there. Them pictures didn't do it justice, man. There were some big ones, but just walking, getting them acclimated, getting to around people and stuff, because ultimately the goal is to find them a home. And it was pretty cool. Saw several get adopted yesterday, including ours, actually official today. So King Henry is a part of the Cousin Shane resident, the empire over here. Was
that its name already, or did you name him after Derrick Henry?
No, I named him after Derrick Henry.
Okay.
Yeah. No. No. At first I started with Little Nicky, and I was like, I don't know if that one's going to work, But then I was like, what other? I asked my girls. I said, what about Big A? I thought Big A'd be kind of cool, and I said, what about King Henry? And they're like, yeah, that's it. So we went through a few names, but we stuck with that one. Like I said, it was an awesome experience, something that I actually will probably do more often, just because it's a nice facility, like I said, and it's just cool seeing people get home, or dogs get home. So
surprised you didn't go with 17 or something like that.
Well,
yeah.
I tried to pull off Hollywood. I said, surely, game-winning touchdown, but wife said, no, that's not going to happen. So,
well, buddy, we got some great games to break down here.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, don't forget, for members, official cousins, we're going to do
my book.
A Thursday night family reunion is what we're calling it. So again, be on the lookout for that. You'll have to be on the YouTubes, and I'll share it. I can share a post with the members only, and that'll give you a link to get in here Thursday night for a family reunion. You know what, Shane?
Yeah, we're going to have matching jackets. We're going to have secret handshakes. It's going to be awesome. No, seriously, it will be fun. This is our first family reunion. It's going to be good to see, like I said, some faces with names, but more importantly, we're just talking, man. We're hanging out. There's no real... this isn't recorded. This isn't going to be broadcasted, anything like that. So it's just going to be a close-knit family here, and I'm looking forward to it. Just drinking some cold beers and hanging out with our friends.
Cousin Danny says you should have named your cat Stoops. Hey, how about JR? What a guy. He just donated a membership. So I hope to see Cousin JR at the family reunion, and hopefully we'll see Jeff Sloat there, because he's now a member to the channel.
Absolutely, man. Oh, man, welcome. JR, I tell you, brother, he's like Santa Claus, ain't he? He just keeps giving, man.
Well, and then real quick, Shane, before we get into the action, we got to remind the folks, as always, we're brought to you by MyBookie, the online sports book. Head on over, mybookie.ag today. Put in that promo code, that SEC. That's THATSEC. And what's that get you, Shane?
What?
Double your initial deposit. Looks like Shane's probably going to have two cats here next time he goes to the shelter. Double up your initial deposit over at MyBookie, the online sports book, with that promo code, that SEC. Your initial deposit, boom, doubled with that promo code that SEC, and just fade our picks. And you won't be in the doghouse like Shane.
Nope, you will not be in the doghouse. Absolutely, man. They're giving away money over there, boys and girls. So definitely jump on that. And obviously just fade us because the Grim Reaper is back. Can't pick a bet. That's what I'm afraid, man. I'm starting to wonder about some of these future bets. I got a milk drinking bet I got to do tomorrow. We got the Florida-Tennessee game coming up. There's this marathon kind of creeping out there. There's a chance I'm going to have to do one of those half marathons. So, yeah, a lot of bets floating around, Mike.
Gas says he's going to bring tater salad to the family reunion, so we appreciate you, brother.
He never shares a recipe either, so don't ask.
And Jeff says, do I have to put pants on for a Zoom meeting? No, you do. I don't think we – have you ever done the show with pants on, Shane? I've never have.
No, I've got shorts on. My daughter's
of
just
course. Of course.
I've got cats now,
All right, so let's get into the action, Shane. This is such a great weekend here.
Yeah.
Don't know which game I would consider game of the week, but let's go where FCC Nation's at down here, Shane. Mm-hmm. Missouri at Texas A&M. This is the milk betting game, so this is why Shane's had to drink his milk on the next episode that we do. But man, thoughts on this matchup, Shane? We're finally going to find out. I think after, fair or not, Shane, after watching Ole Miss, and we shouldn't just say what happened to Ole Miss is going to happen necessarily to Missouri, but all we talked about all offseason was these easy schedules for Missouri and Ole Miss, and more so even Missouri, even though Boston College, now looks a little bit tougher. Vanderbilt, of course, significantly better than we anticipated. But this will be their first real test. Not that Vanderbilt damn near should have beat them. So maybe that's not fair to say, but significant step up in competition. Thankfully, they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this matchup. Meanwhile, Texas A&M, Shane, I know you hate them. You won't give them any respect at all, but they're sitting here at 4-1. They are technically in first place in the 16-team SEC. Shane, no one else in the conference is 2-0 except them fighting Texas A&M Aggies with a lot on the line for them to kind of prove as well. Because if they could sit here and beat Missouri, which I'm not predicting, but I'm not as of today anyway. But if they do, they're going to whoop Mississippi State. They're going to beat New Mexico State. Hell, everybody's beating Auburn these days. So I mean, we're sitting here, we're getting to we're cruising to an 8-win season if we can beat Missouri, and hopefully a lot more if you're an Aggie. But initial thoughts on this matchup, Shane?
Well, I think this is a true test of we're trying to figure out who are the big dogs of the SEC and then who are the posers. I think that's kind of where we're at right now. Are you legit or are you faking it? And the first 4 weeks, Mizzou's they've been kind of cruising, and I thought they were there, but the last 2 weeks, like you said, I feel like, hey, man, wait, have we been giving too much respect to the Mizzou Tigers? And 2 tough football games with Boston College, and then, of course, Vanderbilt coming down the wire, and honestly could have lost that thing. So I felt like a bye week was crucial for them, but then you look over here at A&M, week 1, a little bit of an embarrassing show, but since then has slowly been improving, and I feel like last week was a big step. I know a lot of folks don't think Arkansas is a good team, but I felt like they are, and I felt like Texas A&M kind of took a big step forward last week. So is this 2 teams on the rise, or is this one about to get exposed? That's kind of what this week feels like to me.
Mm-hmm. And then I thought this was pretty interesting, Shane, because I don't know if we're going to do this every damn week. Will Wigman play? Will Marcel Reed play? But I thought this was pretty fascinating. You don't hear coaches kind of come out and say this. And given that Drink is an offensive guy, he was asked about Marcel Reed, and I thought these were pretty revealing comments. And not that I disagree with anything he said, but just this was kind of curious. So listen to what Drink has to say about Marcel Reed, and it kind of gives you an indication of who Texas A&M is going to be playing in this football game.
So your opening statement, I assume that you fully expect Marcel Reed to be their starting quarterback, and does anything change if you see the other guy?
I mean, at this point, I know on their depth chart it says the other kid's the starting quarterback, but I mean that's just semantics in my opinion. The guy's 3-0 as the starter, and whether he's listed as questionable or whatever, I don't see them going back. So they're 3-0. They clearly have a different offensive identity with this guy as the quarterback, and they've developed an offense that fits around his system. It's a little, I wouldn't say a little bit different. It's a lot different than the first game of the year. So, I mean, if they go with the other one, they go with the other one. But they've kind of already built the offense towards this, towards Marcel. And, I think he went out with the press conference yesterday. So whether or not there's semantics around it, I fully anticipate Marcel being 3-0 as a starter is going to be the starting quarterback.
So is it fair to say you also, Shane, think Marcel's going to be our starting quarterback here for A&M?
Yes, I do, man. Because again, everybody else feels that way, and why would you go the opposite? It'd be one thing if he struggled. It'd be one thing if he lost a couple of games or one game here. But this is a quarterback that's kind of brought a little bit of life to that offense. And not saying that Connor couldn't find it, but you don't bench a successful situation. And that's, we're going to get to it here a little. Well, we may even not talk about it, but I'm watching that Texas situation, Mike. And I know nobody wants to bring up Art, but again, it's like, there are people talking. It's like, if you keep winning, you don't want to change it. That's exactly what happened with Florida. And then we had the flip-flop thing, and then everybody's revolting. Of course, that's a different situation.
Who's got the better quarterback in this matchup? Brady Cook, Marcel Reed? And again, just basing it on this season, is it still Brady Cook by a mile?
No, not by a mile. I think Brady Cook's the better quarterback.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying by a mile. There's been something off with him. Somebody said that it possibly was an injury, so maybe this bye week helps him out a little bit. But I still think you can't replace the experience that Brady Cook brings to this football team. So I feel like a week off probably will do him good.
How about this, though, Shane? Which defense is better? Because Missouri's, God, they blow me away at how good their defense has played this year after losing the coordinator, after losing 5 players to the NFL. There's been no drop-off, essentially. Yeah. And then here at A&M, now we're starting to get cooking on that defensive side of the football. It's why they won the Arkansas game. They were all over Taylor Green virtually the entire game. They completely stifled Arkansas running game, which was among the best in the SEC. And they got some linebackers that are really heating up right now, too. They're in College Station. Who do you think's got the better defense in this matchup?
It's a great question, Mike. And honestly, this is an answer that has changed throughout the season. But right now, I would almost say it's flipping a coin. Now, I do like a couple of things that I'm seeing with Texas A&M, mainly on that defensive front. Like you said, they created havoc. This is a defensive front that we touted coming into this season that's finally coming into fruition. So that's one exciting part. But I don't think this secondary has gone against some of the weapons they're about to see with Theo and Luther. You know what I'm saying? So I am seeing Mizzou, on the other hand, they are the surprise defense. One of the, because there's a couple in this league, but one of the most surprise defenses, in my opinion, because this is one that I thought with all the draft picks that this would take a noticeable step back, and it almost feels like we just kept moving along.
It's like you read Mike Elko's mind, Shane. He was asked about Luther Burden. He said, whoa, look out for all these other guys, too.
As a defensive coach, you've prepared over the years for star players and guys you'd like to hold down. What do you do with guys like Burden who can change a game really quickly on Saturday?
Yeah, I think each team presents their different challenges, and with this one, it's really challenging because you got an elite runner in the running back room. You've got 2 other really talented receivers in Theo and Mookie Cooper, and so it creates some challenges. I think that's what allows Burden to be as successful as he is it's not a one-man show, and it's not just, okay, hey, we're going to stop him at all cost and not worry about anybody else on the field. And so you've got to obviously be aware of him, know where he is, know how you're leveraging him, and making sure that that's got as much help as possible most of the time. But at the end of the day, as special of a player he is, and he's truly special, I mean, he'll be one of the first wide receivers taken in this year's draft. It's a really talented offense, which makes it challenging.
And one key matchup to watch in this one, Shane, with Tyreek Chappelle, he's out for the season for the Aggies, unfortunately. He primarily guards the slot receivers, which is where Luther Burden plays. So, again, I'm not saying A&M can't stop him or anything, but that could be a matchup that really favors Mizzou in this position. But, of what Mike Elko has to say there, I know you were high on Arkansas. You picked Arkansas to beat A&M.
Yeah.
And not that you were far off. I mean, hell, you can make the argument a play here or there, they do win that football game. So I'm not talking down to Arkansas. We'll get to more of them in a minute. But is it fair to say this is the best offense, at least personnel-wise, that A&M has seen so far this season?
Yeah, I mean, Arkansas's got some fantastic receivers, and they've got a very talented quarterback. But this is a different realm. This is two wide receivers especially, and he mentioned Mookie. I mean, he's not far behind either. These are three guys that are going to be in the NFL, and I think some of them for an extended period of time. So this is a super, super talented wide receiver room. As far as quarterback play, I feel like we're a little bit more consistent with Cook than we are with Green. Obviously, Green's he's made a lot of mistakes, a lot of turnovers. But I don't know, man. I'm right there with you. I feel like this is by far I mean, you can't compare it to Arkansas right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like, again, the receivers on Arkansas, but I feel like they are growing. When you talk about Armstrong and Centania and all those guys, those are two in particular receivers that are getting better, and by the end of the year, they're going to be fantastic dudes. But Mizzou has got some damn talent, son.
Hey, early leader for comment of the night, Shane. Shout out cousin Matt. Mike Elko looks like you ordered Professor Shane from Temu. Ooh, that was a good one. All right. But let me ask you this, Shane. Who do you think will have a better rushing attack in this one? Because that was the difference, I thought, against Arkansas. That A&M started to impose their will late in the game. That was the difference against Florida. I mean, they just ran all over them. It could not be stopped. And again, Missouri, I think, is much better, obviously much better on defense than Florida. I'm trying to compare it to Arkansas. I think I'd give the edge to Missouri's defense over Arkansas's, but it's close because Arkansas defense played their guts out last week. But meanwhile, Missouri has really got that ground game going. Nate Noel had over 200 rushing yards against Vanderbilt. So who do you think rushes for more yards in this football game?
That's a great question, man. That's a tough one to answer because I feel like you look at last week, and I know we're comparing this team and that team, but you had the SEC leading rusher in there, and you held him in check.
Right.
You had top 8 other one and quarterback Green, and you held him in, I think, to 7 yards. Yeah. So right now, it's not so much that I don't think Mizzou has talent in the running game and that Texas A&M does it. I'm starting to look at it like who can contain who, and I feel like there's going to be a big sellout with Texas A&M and that rushing attack. So right now, I would give the edge to rushing to the Aggies.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to find out, Shane, because this is Missouri. We build up as an elite offensive line.
Yeah.
Not that they've been bad, but I would say not quite lived up to the billing.
Yeah.
Now, going up against this is where you determine it. Not against Vanderbilt or Boston College or all these other jokers. It's determined when you face a team like A&M. Mm-hmm. How much time you give Brady Cook. What about these rushing lanes? So I really think this is kind of the best game of the week. And right now, A&M listed as a 2-point favorite. Again, what was open at around 3, I think. 3, maybe a little bit more. But over-under is 48.5. So they're not anticipating a ton of points. Points are going to be at a premium in this matchup. 100,000. Fighting Aggies going to be in the stands. I mean, it's going to be a sight to behold. You know what?
It's going to be awesome. This is going to be an awesome football game. And Mizzou's pumped up. A&M's pumped up. They're back. This is going to be an awesome matchup. Both teams expecting to win here. Both teams really need to have this one too because, like you said, if you're looking at that schedule, especially A&M, this is an opportunity. If you get past these guys that – damn, you can make a run. You got Mississippi State, LSU struggling. South Carolina, hit or miss right now. Just depends on quarterback play. But You're looking at I don't see any just all of a sudden they're going to lose that game like I have been at the start of the season. Till you get to Texas, that's obviously a rivalry. But A&M, this is a tricky one for me because here's a team that is up on the ropes and could be 10-2 by the end of the season, possibly 11-1 if they keep stacking wins on top of each other. And this would be a big one under their belt if they were able to pull it off.
And if Shane keeps betting against them, so just keep it up, buddy.
Yeah, I will say this on the opposite side too, man. Mizzou, I told you they needed to find themselves, and that's what I hope they went on some spiritual retreat this weekend and found out, this is what we need. This is where we've been messing up. Stop being individual. Stop being. We don't need Sports Center top 10. We need freaking wins, and we need to come out here and kick some ass. So if you're able to do that against Texas A&M, again, you're looking at UMass, Auburn right after that, Alabama, which is going to be a very, very crucial game on the road. But we could potentially have 2 top 3 teams October 26th.
Let me put it to you this way, Shane. If Missouri, maybe they got things solved on the bye week, the offense is who we said they were in the preseason. Mm-hmm. The strides we have seen on defense, they got a kicker. You know what I mean? Like, they got all these pieces.
Yeah.
If they figured it out on offense, I think this is at worst 11-1 team.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. If they figured it out, if they figured this out,
big if.
Again, big if. But I am only seeing one game right now that could be a loss.
Yeah, Mississippi State.
Yeah.
No,
them Razorbacks.
Hey, shout out to Slick. I love this comment here. He gave us $17, donating the amount points Lane Whiffen scored against an actual team. # Daily Lane slander.
Oh gosh, I love it.
So not a Florida fan, I could tell, Mr. Too Slick, but I do appreciate you. But all right, Shane, let's move on. Another game here. Very interested. Very close to your heart, buddy. Tennessee on the road at Arkansas. Mm-hmm. Again, maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just the battered Vol in me, Shane. But I get the sense this is going to be a little bit closer game than most people. Again, if you look at Tennessee's schedule, this will probably be outside of Alabama, outside of at Georgia. Of course, maybe you could throw Kentucky in there, but the way I'm looking at it, at Arkansas, this could be their toughest remaining game outside of, again, Alabama at home and at Georgia. So I think a lot on the line. If Tennessee takes – this is crazy to say, Shane, but if Tennessee takes care of business this weekend, and we probably even look ahead, we probably shouldn't, but if they take care of Arkansas and Florida, I think they're going to the college football playoff, barring some unforeseen disaster.
Oh man, I think you're correct. Go back to that schedule one more time, because that's the way I'm looking at it. You got Arkansas, there's the Florida game and the Kentucky game. You got to win those 3. I hate to say must wins, but they have to be must wins, because Alabama and Georgia, we just don't know. Those are maybe coin toss games, and if you do lose those, if you lose one of those 3, you're not getting in. And so I feel like this is a must-win, and it's a sneaky game, and I'm right there with you. That Battervall syndrome is a real thing, and I'm afraid we may be overlooking it to the Florida game. We may be overlooking this team because they got, embarrassing loss last week. And, I don't know.
I don't think 21-17 is embarrassing. And I mean, you have said it, and I have echoed it. What's the team that is getting the least amount of respect that could do some things? I think it's Arkansas. And just because you lose by 4 points away from home, I guess, or potentially an elite defense, I don't think there's any shame in that. I think that the shame is you came out, you scored immediately, you looked like you were going to finally break this A&M curse, and then it comes back and they dominate you in the fourth here. But Arkansas looks a hell of a lot better than I think people are giving them credit for.
Well, when I meant embarrassing, I meant like it was embarrassing to watch how you lost that thing.
Yeah.
Because it felt very similar to the Oklahoma State game where Arkansas just keeps getting in their way, like their own way. And I think they've got 3 or 4 games in a row they've had 2 turnovers. It's just that's all they do. And it's not simple. It's not like he got hit and there's like this terrible pass type situation. It's like self-inflicted wounds over and over again. And so the embarrassing part too is Tennessee doesn't look as Arkansas as a threat. I guarantee you if you poll that locker room right now, ain't a damn one of them in there scared about the Razorbacks, but they should be, because this is a team that I told you early this season is going to catch somebody off guard. They're going to sneak up and they're going to bite one of these top 15, top 20 football teams, and because they have the ability to put up points in a hurry. And with Green, with the receivers I talked about earlier, they got arguably the best running back in the country. If they don't make any mistakes, then Arkansas is a very dangerous football team, Mike.
No doubt. And I think it's all about this man. I got him up here on the screen, Taylon Green. I mean, he's half amazing, half head scratching. You know what I mean? So which one shows up against Tennessee on the road, big night game? And I don't know if you've seen it, Shane, but they're going to be striping out the stadium. Again, not a lot of the stripe outs have worked this year, but Arkansas will be doing it. So I'm anticipating a very hostile environment, Shane. This is I didn't realize this. This was so Peanut Butter was in Little Rock.
Yeah.
UAB's the only home game so far. So this is only the second true home game for Arkansas fans. So I think they're going to be, before this great run of LSU at home, Ole Miss at home, Texas at home. This is the kickoff to it. I think these fans are going to be pretty fired up. And even though, like you said, disappointing, they lost last week, but this is what we all do as SEC fans. We're done Sunday. I'm not going to watch another damn game. Yeah. Then by Friday night, you're like, we're pulling off the upset. I've convinced myself that's what it's going to be. It's going to be all day tailgating there in Fayetteville. I think it's going to be a hell of a scene.
I've seen that meme, it's like the 7-day circle, and it's just like, we're like day 3, day 4, and you're just starting to, like, you're getting some news or something, getting somebody healthy, or maybe one of the Tennessee players are injured still, or, it's that sort of thing. And then by the time you get to kickoff, you're back, baby. You're back. We're about to pull off an upset here.
And speaking of being back, we got some classic ones here. I don't like to go a lot of video clips anymore, but Sam Pittman, my goodness, Shane, this is fantastic. So Pittman, obviously, he was offensive line coach under Derek Dooley back in the day. Mm-hmm. Here's him recalling the story of interviewing and visiting Neyland Stadium for the first time.
And then on Tennessee, just the historic nature of it.
Yeah, I remember when I went for an interview and the GA took me over to the stadium, and I'd never been there before, and in between time I was interviewing, and I think the head coach was talking to AD about if he could hire me, how much he's going to pay me and all that. And I walked in the stadium, and I told the GA, I said, take me back. He said, why? And I said, hell, they ain't going to hire me to coach in the stadium like this. It was unbelievable. It was like the Coliseum, I said, I'm not getting a job. Take me back. And he started laughing. And when I got back, I had a contract and a job, but it's one of those places, it's a SEC school, but it's one of those places that has a lot of history and really great place to live.
I mean, how do you not root for this guy, Shane? Except for maybe this weekend.
Yeah, because he's playing Tennessee. No, I mean, I remember when I think he left, was it Georgia? And I was hoping Tennessee would hire him because we needed an offensive line coach in a bad way. So, I mean, this is a guy that's always been near and dear to ball fans. They've never hated the guy. In fact, I think the best part is the fact they don't have to play in that Coliseum this week. And that's probably one of the main reasons why I feel like this could be a potential upset.
Right, and they got a couple former Vols on Arkansas's teams, Shane, their starters. Addison Nichols on the offensive line, Danico Slaughter in the secondary. I love this response too. Pittman was asked about, these guys get like a little extra juice going up against their former team. I thought this was the perfect way to answer this.
So with Nichols coming in here and starting for us has been really good for us. And then with Nico, he's played really, really good ball for us. And so those two guys coming from Tennessee have helped our program. Glad they're here.
Do you think there's a little extra now juice, whatever you want to use it for them playing their old team?
I think there's something to some of that. I also think that lasts about 4 or 5 plays, and then you get hit in the head and you get somebody cuts you, somebody knocks hell out of you. And then at that point, it's about preparation and what you're made of in the heart and how hard you want to go. So I do think there's something. I think that has to do with preparation. I think whenever you're wanting to do something so bad, I don't know that feeling that you have right before the game is going to help you play a lot better. But I do know that feeling helps you prepare, which then you'll play better. So I would assume they'd have that this week.
I mean, what a response there, Shane. And again, I know this has got nothing to do with the upcoming game on Saturday, but Arkansas has beaten Tennessee 3 times in a row. So this is one of the quirkness of the schedule to where these teams barely play.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we're going to a schedule format where Tennessee and Arkansas can play each other, hopefully every other year at minimum. So, games like this, I'm glad we're getting back on the schedule. You know what?
Yeah, I can't wait for the schedule to be like that because, again, you're going to see some games that you have not seen in a while. You're going to create some new rivalries that you may not have had. This one's always a fun one. And, I remember, I want to say it was – I can't remember exactly what year, but I'm pretty sure the last time they beat our ass in Knoxville, seemed like Hunter Henry was still there or something like that. I can't.
2015.
Yeah, and it wasn't good. I don't think so. I can't recall.
Think Tennessee returned the opening kickoff.
Yeah, got our hopes up.
And then Arkansas basically whooped them the rest of the game.
Yeah. See, I kind of shut down after we start getting our ass kicked. It's like I don't quite remember that game, but yeah, I do think that this is going to be awesome to play more often, and it's going to be cool to go down there. And I do think there's a little juice. I think he's right. About 4 or 5 plays. I think it's a good quarter. It's depends on how much of a leader they are in that locker room. But yeah, I think you find a little extra gas in the tank for them.
And then one more from Pittman, Shane. So Tennessee has outscored their opponents 78-3 in the first quarter. And this is not an anomaly because this is essentially what they've done every year under Josh Heupel. He's such a great coach at game planning and initial scripting and jumping out to a fast start and playing on the road. I think that'll be critical for Tennessee. It's equally critical for Arkansas that you don't allow that to happen. Keep that crowd engaged. Otherwise, could be a long night for the Razorbacks. But Sam Pittman was asked about that. 78-3, fast starts, critical here.
I think I got this stat right. Tennessee's notes. They've outscored their opponents 78-3.
Yeah,
in the
it's
first
pretty
quarter.
good. Yeah.
What have you seen? And just, I guess, obviously want to get off to a good start against these guys before they could bury you,
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the confidence, but
And then he went on to say, I know you're not talking about us, but yeah. I mean, what a response,
Say, who's asking them damn questions? It's like, damn, tee up some good ones for me here.
Now, again, is there anything to this, though, Shane, where, I mean, maybe not, because he's already got on the road at Oklahoma, and they've won. They played NC State away from Neyland, and they've won. But, could Nico cost them the game, essentially? You know what I mean? Like, maybe not cost, but just poor performance. I think that's another path for Arkansas kind of winning this football game. Tennessee's tackles have been kind of, they missed the vast majority of the Oklahoma game, and Arkansas's got the hitman out there, man. Yeah. If you're matching up Tennessee's backup tackles, I know they got confidence in them, but I don't. After rewatching the Oklahoma game, I don't think these backups are going to be able to handle Landon Jackson. I mean, I think that could be critical to this one as well.
Well, I mean, I think that's going to be the name of the game. And if you're looking at Arkansas, I think that's the kind of as aggressive as you can. And you may mess up, you may let one get over top of you, but you also may catch Nico again and force you a turnover. So, yeah, I'm not saying Nico could lose this thing, but I do think that offensive line could play a key contributing factor, especially those tackles.
Right. And do you buy into the narrative at all? Because I see some Vol fans saying they were pissed off about how that Oklahoma game, how the second half played out. I don't understand it. You win by double digits. You covered the spread on the road. I mean, it's very, very difficult to do. Yet, was that more protecting the lead, or was that protecting Nico, who had fumbled twice in that football game? I don't know, but what's your thoughts on that? And if they have to, do you think they're protecting Nico, or do you think they're just kind of they had to do that because of the tackle situation, and they were very confident Oklahoma was not going to score on them? I don't think that'll be the case against Arkansas, even if Tennessee does jump out to a big lead. I don't think you can play conservative against this offense.
No, again, this is a team that can put up points and put them up in a hurry. So, yeah, I think that if you look at that Oklahoma game in particular, I do feel like there was a natural reserve a little bit because of the Heupel situation, but I think that gets blown out of proportion. I think this was more about the offensive line. This was more about let's don't let them back in the game. Let's make them, because obviously this defense was holding Oklahoma in check the entire time.
Right.
So, and I hate to keep living in the past, but moving forward, I feel like you're going to start seeing some more of the stretching of field, if you will, the Tennessee football that we thought we were going to get in this Oklahoma game, and we're surprised we didn't get. The more confident that Nico gets, the more confident this offense gets, the more explosive that it can be. But in the meantime, you're not going to put your quarterback in a bad situation. So if it comes down to check downs and short plays, then because that's what you see a lot of times with these teams. They bring the pressure, they bring the heat, they lock down, and they kind of give you that 5 to 6 yard cushion, you know. And not a lot of people like to dink and duck because it's frustrating and you're not able to get that long ball like you want. But they purposely do that so that they kind of force you to make those mistakes. So if they're not going to do this, I think Nico's going to take whatever they give him.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just fired up for it, Shane. I really am.
And honestly, man, I'm a little worried about it too. I ain't gonna lie. I guess I worry about all the games, but there's something about this one I don't like. It's got some heebie-jeebies written all over it.
Yeah, and I should note too, Shane, Sam Pittman also said that after the A&M game, spent the most time with the trainers, post game than he has all season. So a little beaten up, a little battered. Tennessee's had 2 weeks to prepare because they're coming off a bye week. So from that aspect, really favors Tennessee. We'll see how that plays out. All right, how about this one, Shane? This could be the game of the week. Ole Miss at South Carolina. Backs against the wall all of a sudden for the Ole Miss Rebels after losing to Kentucky, but they were supposed to be college football playoff contenders, which they still are technically. But if you drop this one, I'm about ready to eliminate them from the conversation. Thoughts, and they had the dreaded players-only meeting down there, Shane. I don't know if that's ever worked, but again, I kind of kid. But how about this stat, Shane? Ole Miss was number 7 in the country in converting on third downs heading into the Kentucky game. That game dropped them all the way down to 32 after going 1 for 10 against Kentucky. And I don't want to say South Carolina has a similar defense, but South Carolina does have a very, very good defense with a lot of pieces that you got to be concerned about here. What's your initial thoughts on this matchup?
Intriguing. This may be the best football game, Mike, because Ole Miss, obviously, there's going to be I know they had the player. I think that's important. I know you joked a little bit earlier, but I have seen it work too. I have seen locker rooms kind of galvanize and come together and start playing awesome football. But this is what we were afraid of with this Ole Miss football team. What if the wheel falls off, and then is there give up in this locker room? I'm not saying that happens, but they're going against a South Carolina team that they're expecting to win, just like they were expecting to win last week. But I'm going to tell you right now, you think Kentucky had an aggressive defense? They got round 2 of it coming here with a team that just whooped Kentucky's ass. So I'm feeling like this is a very intriguing matchup on that aspect. You got a really good offense against a really good defense. I think it's going to be the other side which dictates the game, and that will be Ole Miss's defense against South Carolina's offense. So if we see, did you hear anything about Sellers? Is he?
Honestly, behind the scenes, Shane, I hear he's not going to play. And I hear Rocket's not going to play. Now, but here's a clip from Shane Beamer.
Yeah.
Who 2 weeks ago said, Sellers told me he's good. I don't know. Maybe I'm going too far with the reading of the body language, but you tell me what you see here. How was Rocket today?
Yeah, I said that's all I'm going to say about the injuries, and then Pete slipped one in, and now you're going. So I said I think we're in good shape, I think were the words I used. So Lenoris and Rocket were both out there. They both looked good. Were they 100%? I wouldn't say they were 100%, but they both told me they felt great, and they look good, and they'll both be able to do even more tomorrow, I would think, as well. And before anybody asked it, Jared Brown was out there today too. So I'll go ahead and let somebody, get an extra question in, but I'll answer in that one as well.
No eye contact. Again, they said he was cleared 2 weeks ago. He didn't play, so I don't know. And I heard this morning it doesn't sound good. So I don't know. Take that for. I hope I'm wrong, because I want the best players on the field. I want the best game. But I don't know.
I mean, Rocket's important. Don't get me wrong. Let's remove him from this situation. If you're looking at quarterback, Mike, I mean, it's tough for me to just hand over the reins to touchdown Robbie, but I mean, he really did look good, and it wasn't just because it was an inferior
Akron
opponent. I know. It just, some of the decision making I saw was not what I saw this time at the start of the season, or this time last year with Auburn. So I felt like there's been some real development here, and I don't know if there's a huge separation between Sellers and Robbie anymore at this moment. Do you?
Oh, I think it's massive. I'd go so far as to say, if Robbie Ashford's your starting quarterback, you're losing. If Sellers is your starting quarterback, I kind of like you to win. Like, I think it's that big. I think it's massive.
I hope Robbie's parents ain't listening. Because I feel like he's better than he's getting than he's getting deserved here. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just read into that football game, but I just saw it. I saw a better quarterback, and I saw some throws, man, that Sellers hasn't been making. So take it for what it is. The fact that this has become more of a two-dimensional team with Robbie back there is also exciting in my part.
How much pressure, though, is on Lane Kiffin and the Rebels here?
Oh, God. Monumental.
Season's not done. But if they lose this, you basically have to beat LSU on the road. You have to beat Georgia. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're falling well short of all expectations.
Yeah, and I don't think you could barely win either. I feel like if you barely win, that's a loss in media's opinion, because they feel like this is a team you should beat by 35 points. I mean, I'm just saying what it is. If you're not a follower of South Carolina,
I mean, the spread's only 9.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, Mike. People,
35.
Yeah. I mean, how can you say that this is the last dance, national championship? Lane Kiffin can get any job in the country he wants, and then you got South Carolina here. Again, we know they are a good football team, but they're not going to get the respect until they play a team like Ole Miss. So they went tooth and nail with LSU, but again, coming from that game, LSU got the win. So I feel like, I don't know, man. I feel like this is a game that either Ole Miss has got to win big, or it's a loss in their opinion, in my opinion.
Bold words from Mr. Gamecock down there.
I know. You just got to experience Columbia once, Mike. You know what I'm saying? You drink enough cold beers with those folks down there, and you'll see what I'm saying.
Yeah. Hey, how about this, Shane? Mr. Too Slick just gifted 10 memberships to the channel. Thank you, brother.
Cuz.
What a guy here. We got Matt, Dylan, Defeated Samuel, John Bratton. Oh, snap, John Bratton.
You related?
We must be related. I don't know.
It's my brother's burner.
We got Ty, we got Levi, Nazar Main, Brandon Williams, Todd with a couple D's over here, and Jolly Fox. Man.
Oh, welcome to the family, guys.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see y'all at the family reunion on Thursday. You know what?
They'll be late, I'm sure. Most cousins are.
I mean, and so much for, man. I just feel. Does it feel wrong, Shane, that at just one loss? Again, it's just one loss. This is college football. You can make it up, but there was so much hype Jackson Dart, I mean, all these fans, he's going to Heisman. Why is he not getting talked about Heisman? He's the best quarterback in the country. And then one Kentucky performance, and hell, no one's talking about him anymore. Is that fair?
Is it fair? I don't think it's fair because, again, he's still a fantastic quarterback. And at the end of the day, he has opportunity to win Heisman games, but this isn't a Heisman game. Just like I told you last week, even if they beat Kentucky, that wouldn't win him a Heisman. But if he fights for his life, I guarantee you it's going to lose some votes because people aren't going to vote for him at the end of the year.
Okay, Shane. You hate Ole Miss now.
Yeah. When did you start loving the Rebels so much? That's what I'm trying to understand.
I think since I've been hyping them up since January, I'm kind of on the bandwagon. You know,
hook, line, and sinker. You're with them. So no, I feel like Ole Miss has got a great football team, but you want to talk about test of character? That's this week, man. Because for the longest time they've been told that how good they are. This is a football team that is extremely dangerous. They should have beat LSU. This is a team that arguably could be, other than the Kentucky game, undefeated. So this is a damn good football team. And if Ole Miss thinks they're going to show up and show out like they did against Kentucky, well, they're going to have the same problem.
How about this though? This may be stupid. I like asking bold things though, Shane. If Lane Kiffin loses. Again, we respect South. But you said no one else, and I kind of agree with you. Nationally, they don't respect South Carolina. If Ole Miss loses to South Carolina, is Kiffin on any kind of hot seat? Because we gave all this money, and this is what you've given us. I mean, I think there'll be some hell to pay.
Yeah, well, I mean, there'll be some questions that need to be answered, but I don't think that.
And then he turns around and gets his ass whooped by LSU and Georgia. Let's complete the 4. If he loses all those games and the last 2 by a wide margin, is he on any kind of hot seat?
No, I don't think
Put
so.
his ass on the hot seat.
No.
Come on, man. What are we paying for?
Ole Miss. We're talking Ole Miss here. We ain't talking Bama
This
or
is
Georgia.
last dance. This is supposed to be a playoff.
Yeah, I get it.
Playoff
I
or
get
bust.
it. But again, I mean, how many 10-win seasons they got down there in Oxford, Mike? 9-win, even not 7-win seasons.
Didn't play anybody.
Hell no. Lake can stay down there as long as he wants.
Hey, shout out cousin Rick. 12th.
Hey, thanks, cuz.
12th man rocks. Defensive line dominates. Le'Veon and Reed. Run, baby, run. Bring on Mizzou next. Beat the hell out of Mizzou. And then I just saw this one. Sorry, Too Slick. I missed you at first here. $50 donation. My word.
Thanks, cuz.
Shane.
Thanks, cuz.
Want to make a friendly bet on Tennessee-Alabama game? If Tennessee wins, I'll buy you a Waffle House or Cracker Barrel meal. If Bama wins, vice versa. I'll send more info via Twitter. If interested, roll Tide.
Ooh, man. Do I have to do that now? I mean, I love the meal, so don't get me wrong. I'm just trying. I'd like to work out the details. So let's work out the details on that, and we'll focus that a little closer to third Saturday in October.
I put that up. Well, I put it up because he gave us a very generous donation. But as I was reading that, I was like, Shane's response will provide how much confidence he's got in Tennessee to win that game. And
let me see him get past Arkansas first.
And the answer was not very confident. All right, how about this one, Shane? Oh wait, I think I had a Kiffin clip here. Play on the players only. How they responded. Does this change anything with a team you hate now?
Lane, you kind of briefly mentioned this in post-game that, with a loss like this, especially it being 11 a.m. kickoff, that they basically had kind of all day to soak it in and all that. But when you got to see this team and this group together, again, for the first time, following in the aftermath, are you kind of getting the feeling that they're handling it as well as you had hoped, especially with such a veteran team?
Yeah, I think they were really disappointed. I think they were really upset, really hurt. And I told them today that's a good thing, for guys that in the room that didn't and just went on with their day and, it didn't really hurt. That'll show you. The more you're invested, the more you put in something, you're going to feel different afterwards than somebody that isn't invested and doesn't put all their heart into it. So I think it was a good thing that they.
So based on that, Shane, do you think we'll see an inspired Ole Miss team on Saturday?
I mean, that's what let me ask you this, because there's two teams that are going down a similar situation. Georgia Bulldogs, they got embarrassed. Everybody thought, myself included, I lost a bet and had to clean dog shit. And then over here you got Lane Kiffin kind of in the same boat, just embarrassed, whatever. But they're two different coaches, and do you think it hurts? Do you think it hurts Lane at all that he's not that warm, fuzzy, or rah-rah guy, because I feel like I'm not saying that he's not a player's coach, but, because he does play. I see him. He pickleball with a handful of them, but I see Kirby Smart coming out here hugging these guys after the game, just getting on their ass. It just, I don't know. I feel like if you're thinking about a rebound, which team would rebound quicker? And I have a feeling that it would be the Georgia Bulldogs, not Ole Miss, because Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin is he's a chess, not checkers guy, but maybe there's some rah-rah behind the scenes, these assistant coaches that maybe we just can't get clips of, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm asking.
You said there was a question, but I didn't get a question there.
Do you think that Ole Miss bounces back or Georgia? Like, which one do you think bounces back quicker?
Well, I think it's got to be Georgia, but that to me has got more to do with their schedule. They got Auburn and Mississippi State, whereas Ole Miss got at South Carolina, at LSU, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Georgia. I mean, my God. But yeah, I mean, I would almost think it has to be Georgia, but maybe they found something in that second half. But I've never seen Georgia play so poorly.
Yeah,
and we've seen it a couple times now against Kentucky. That was awful. We just all chalked it up to, well, they always have one of these a year. And then they come out here against Alabama and look totally ill-prepared. So, yeah. I don't know. I am kind of more concerned about Georgia, if that makes sense, because they do got to play at Ole Miss. They do got to play at Texas. They got to play Tennessee. The full slate is tougher, but I would have more confidence in Georgia to bounce back because of who they have to play the next couple weeks, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. Short-term Georgia, long-term Ole Miss.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, speaking of them dogs, Shane, come on. That was a perfect segue. He didn't even mean to do it, I bet you. But Auburn at Georgia, Shane.
Yeah.
Deep South's oldest rivalry here, although it's not been much of a rivalry these days. Georgia's won 7 in a row, and the year Auburn beat them, Georgia turned around and whooped them in the SEC championship game. So, again, Kirby's been dominant in this series. And, if you're just going off the point spread, Georgia's a massive, massive favorite here, 24-point favorite. Thoughts on this matchup, Shane? And again, here's another stat to look at. Georgia number 1 in the country last year in offensive and defensive third downs.
Yeah.
This year, Georgia 107th in converting on third down on offense and 64th in stopping opponents on third. So, I mean, this has got to change, Shane. This is what I'm looking at where, again, I realize we played Clemson. We played Alabama. That's going to skew the stats a little bit. But never in my life would I have thought Georgia's number 107 in converting on third down when you've got allegedly the top overall pick at quarterback. I mean, they're basically wasting talent right now.
When I see purple, I know we're in trouble, Mike. It's like snow. It's like, are we getting 2 to 3 inches or are we getting a foot here? And it feels like Georgia, I'm scratching my head a lot of times when we talk to Bulldogs. And honestly, they're going against a team that I'm probably just as confused with, and that's the Auburn Tigers. I thought last week they had plenty of opportunities to win that football game, yet they didn't. They found a way to mess it up. They found a way to give this game away. And I don't want to take anything from Oklahoma, but it just felt like it was Auburn's game to lose, and that's what they did. Georgia, on the other hand, got punched in the mouth like no other. And as long as Kirby's been up there, except maybe his first year, I ain't never seen anything like it. Just that fit. You expect that from a Georgia team, to go in there, be physical, just nonstop, relentless, and Alabama just put a hurting on them. Now, Georgia did come back, and it did take the lead. Everybody watched the football game, but I feel like that this team kind of got humanized here. They have all season, Mike. Georgia had that G on their chest, and you were just afraid to play them because you knew you were going to get hurt. You knew they were going to beat you by a lot of points, and now you're like, well, damn, they got a few weaknesses, and this is how we get them. We've seen it with the Clemson game. We've seen it with the Kentucky game, and now we saw it with the Bama game. So I think they all have got some holes, gaping holes, but it's more of who's going to seal those up this week, and more confidence do you have? Do you have more confidence in Kirby getting it right, or do you got more confidence in Hugh Freeze getting it right?
And is this potentially a bad spot, you think, for the Dogs, Shane? I know I was just saying it, they can bounce back because of it, but again, you're massive favorites. You've owned this team. But again, you've put so much time into that Alabama game, and it was just such a wave of emotions. I mean, it's got to be tough for those players to put that behind them. I'm sure they have by now. We're recording Tuesday night, but that was probably difficult on Sunday and Monday to put that behind them. Whereas Auburn, I mean, maybe you could say the same thing, but it's true what a lot of these Auburn fans are saying, Shane. I mean, they're playing so well minus the turnovers. Now we can't just say, well, that didn't happen. You know what I mean? But if they have a game, let's say they have no turnovers against Georgia. I'm not sitting here saying they will win or anything, but they would have beat Oklahoma if they didn't have the turnover. Yeah, and I don't know. I really think for all the flack Peyton Thorne has been given, he looked like his best performance that I've ever seen from him last week. So they're starting to heat up a little bit there. Is this at all a bad spot for a rivalry game where everybody and their mother's not even going to give you a chance that you can pull the upset? Is this a bad spot for Georgia?
I mean, if I were playing Georgia, if I were Hugh Freeze at Auburn wanting Georgia, I'd want them to come in after a loss. You know what I'm saying? Because, again, there's going to be there's hangovers when you pull off a big upset, and there's also ones when you get embarrassed. And I feel like catching them on that second week pays into Hugh Freeze's favor a little bit here. So, not saying it's going to be a big deal, but if you could jump out on them early and not so much play keep away, but play efficient football. You saw the third down efficiencies that Georgia has in Auburn and win those crucial downs. Then all of a sudden you could find yourselves at the tail end of that game with a potential upset. So, yeah, they did it last year. They went toe-to-toe with them last year. So this is a very, very sneaky good game here, Mike.
Mm-hmm. And then I just want to get your thoughts. And I'll share mine as well, Shane. But Hugh Freeze. Oh, you. Do you know what I inherited year two? Let's kick it over to him. This is fantastic.
Gosh. You all are aware of what we inherited. Our AD has done a marvelous job of explaining that. And he did to me before I took the job with the previous recruiting classes not being what you need to compete at a high level, and 57 transfers out in the previous 3 years before my arrival. So building takes time, but our process, when complete, is going to make everyone very, very proud and to wear the orange and blue. It's making ground. The process is. I see it. The record doesn't reflect it. Even when playing, 12 freshmen and I think combination of the 49 guys that played Saturday, there was 24, if you count our kicker, 24 freshmen and sophomores that played the majority of the snaps, and I use that for my recruiting pitch. We'll play you early. So let's finish this 25 class up and give us some more depth that we need to compete in this great conference.
All right, what do you think when you hear those comments there, Shane?
I think about all the other SEC coaches gotten fired, that evolution we're talking about fans have, coaches have it too. And we're at that part where we're saying, hey, I told you this was a rebuild, we weren't supposed to compete this far in. Mm-hmm, just give me some time. Be patient. Trust the recruiting process. So, yeah, we've all seen this song and dance.
And when I first heard it, Shane, I said, "Oh God, this is a guy that looked at that schedule and said, at Georgia, at Mizzou, all of a sudden Kentucky's looking really good. I better get this message out there that, by God, do you not remember what I inherited? Please don't note that we're worse year 2 than we were year 1 somehow." I don't know how that happens, but I mean, it's no different than what Josh Heupel took over at Tennessee. Yeah. It's no different than a lot of these. I mean, hell, Mike Shula was god-awful when Nick Saban. I mean, all these guys, if you're an elite SEC coach, it's year 2. You really take – Kiffin won 10 games at Ole Miss year 2.
Yeah.
Dan Mullen, taking teams to New Year's Six Bowl is year 2. You can't be taking a step back year 2 and be saying, well – you remember what a mess I inherited here. You know what? It's always somebody else's fault.
Yeah, you did better last year with that inherited mess. So, no, I get it. I totally get it. But I do love hearing this from coaches. Like any coach has inherited a good situation. You know what I'm saying? Like they've ever come here. Look at Lebby up there at Mississippi State. They got like one returning starter. So, right. Yeah, I don't want to hear the song and dance that we have to rebuild. Everybody rebuilds. But you do have coaches that are competing year 2. And we're not asking to win a national championship here. We're just asking to see progress. That's it, man.
Well, recruiting, Shane. Recruiting.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
All right, how about Alabama at Vanderbilt? Shane, it's going to be – I heard someone wrote an article. I wish I could remember the guy's name. I apologize. But they said this will be the least attended Alabama conference game, I think, in like 60 years because of the construction at Vanderbilt. I mean, what a stat that is. But he's just letting everybody know that, yeah, it'll be Alabama fans, but not that many are going to be able to get in. So apologies for the high prices you're about to pay. But, Alabama just won a game of the season, emotional roller coaster. Any chance there's a letdown here with Mr. Diego Pavia coming here and tearing up Alabama's defense. Could you see that at all?
Well, I mean, ask him, Mizzou. I mean, Is it possible? Absolutely, it's possible. But is it probable? Probably not. And I'm kind of surprised on the stat. Even during COVID, they never. I mean,
COVID excluded.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, if we're excluding, then I'm going to say Diego Pavia is the X factor, the ultimate X factor. And again, I'm not saying that this is going to be a close game, but if you remember during that Georgia matchup, it felt like there was a little bit of exposure back there in the secondary, and this is a quarterback that will try his damnedest to exploit it. So you don't want to make it a ball game, but this could be a fun game. It could be. Let's just say that. I think offensively, this ain't like the old Alabama Vanderbilt matchups where you're like tuned off. You're playing it in the background at noon while you're grilling out type situation. This is one that you're actually going to see some pretty electrifying offense, and it's going to be fun to watch. So I'm looking forward to this game.
Yeah, hopefully it's not anything like I can't remember exactly how it played out, Shay, but I think it was Vanderbilt pulled like an upset or two, and they were like 3-0. And this was when Alabama came to town. I remember one of the Vanderbilt linemen said, we're going to beat them. And then it was like 59-0 at halftime. You know what I mean? This was when they had Jalen Hurts and Tua. They were just rotating them in and out, just having fun that day. But, again, Alabama fans certainly hope it'll be that way. And maybe it will. But I don't know, Shane. I keep seeing that we keep waiting for Vanderbilt to come back down to earth.
Yeah,
and they keep playing better and better football, including taking a top 10 team on the road to overtime. So it would not surprise me at all. Yeah, if Alabama plays their A game, they're going to smoke Vanderbilt. I get it.
Yeah,
but Vanderbilt's had 2 weeks to prepare. I think there'll be a natural letdown from Alabama, and hopefully that it makes it a competitive ball game here going into the second half. You know what?
Can you pull up Bama's schedule here real quick? Because I mean, because you had your bye here, and I'm looking. You got Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Tennessee, Mizzou, and then you'll have your other byes. Yeah, so I mean, there will be a natural, I think, a little sluggish start on October 5th here against Vandy, but man, I don't know, man. Like you said, this isn't St. Your Papaw's Commodores, man. They got a little gas in their tank as well. And I'd love to see this game, at least make it to second half being competitive.
And the two games that stand out to me for Vanderbilt, Virginia Tech, and Missouri, obviously, they got off to fast starts.
Yeah.
Scored quickly, explosive plays. Now you got to prevent that if you're on defense, because Alabama will, as we all know now, they'll hit you over the top, and we'll have to hear about how old the guy is catching the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's yeah, absolutely.
And then last one here, Shane, non-conference matchup, but again, it's buddy. You want to talk about some pressure here? Central Florida at Florida. This is going to be the Super Bowl here for the Knights, but oh, buddy. I mean, if Billy Napier, this is the one game on your schedule that we had circled that you cannot lose this football game. Yet, remember I told you it opened as a pick'em, Shane. Central Florida is now the favorite team, only by a slight margin, though. I think it's 3. No, 3. It's grown to 3. It was 2 this morning. It's 3 now. So the bets are coming in for UCF. But man, this feels like a winnable game for Florida. We got to take care of business.
It does feel like a winnable game, and again, it's an opportunity to just kind of build off what you did against Mississippi State. And I know a lot of people look at State as non-competition, but it still was a sizable victory, and it was still important for this locker room and fan base. So if you can just start piling that on top of another one here, the last thing you want to do is take a step forward or take a step back and make this thing be close. And damn, if you lose it, I told you this is probably the last game, the only game that Billy would get fired midseason, in my opinion, because after this, brother, you got their schedule? Can you pull that up real quick? Because after this, Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. This right here, if they lose, Billy's out. But if
I think they beat Florida State based on what I've seen of them.
Yeah. I don't know. That guy probably eats shit by then, and they reverse the curse, So I'm just, again, I feel like this is a very sneaky good game, man. I've been saying about a lot of these because there's just some bad, I don't know, man. There's some bad mojo floating around this weekend. I'm feeling like we're going to have an upset or two, and I don't know where it's going to come from. It could be in this one. I could be convinced, Mike. You could talk to me for 5-6 minutes and give me 2 cold beers, and I'd say, you know what? He's right. UCF's going to win this thing. But right now, I feel like Florida is on the right path, and this is Billy's just going to keep winning. I don't know what it is, man.
Yeah. Well, the problem, though, as I see it, Shane, Central Florida, top 10 rush offense efficiency. Florida, number 100 rush defense efficiency. Now, Florida has played Miami. They played A&M. Teams that can really move the football. But Central Florida, they got their ass kicked by Colorado last week. But up until that point, they were moving the ball on everybody. So that, I think, will be key to the game. If Florida can stop Central Florida from running it, and they got our old friend KJ Jefferson as their quarterback, so he's had some success down there in the swamp. Obviously, last year leading Arkansas to a big upset win down there. But to me, Shane, this is for Florida. They're going to be hearing this all week. You don't screw up. Don't lose to these scrubs that are lesser than, that didn't have Florida offers. Meanwhile, Central Florida, it's going to be their Super Bowl. This is a bad spot, I think, for Florida. And man, I mean, it's almost like a close win would even feel like a loss.
Yeah, one team has absolutely nothing to lose, and
RG says Shade is every terrible SEC team's hype man.
I feel like it, man. That's because I saw those sad little puppies and kittens in there, I just want them all to find a home,
Michael Riley says, I'm feeling a double cousin curse a-coming, so.
Hey, don't reveal it, but have you got one kind of penciled in, you think?
As a lock?
As a lock. Don't reveal it.
This is too early for my locks. You know what?
Yeah. I've got it narrowed down between 2. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of with you. I'm afraid to bet, man. I'm afraid to bet. we get closer that we're talking about the Tennessee, Arkansas. We're talking about the Alabama, Tennessee. When you have a free meal on the line, Shane, don't think twice. I go for it, man. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a win-win. Even if I lose, I'm eating at Waffle House or Cracker Barrel, you know?
Right.
So, but yeah, there's just something right now. It feels like upsets in the air. And I don't know if it was because the Georgia-Alabama game or a little bit of hangover of that, but I don't know. There's some football games that are going to be played this weekend that I feel like there is going to be some very pissed off fans.
Yeah, Michael Riley, appreciate you, brother. He gave us $2. He says, Billy versus Gus, loser, please leave town. I like that one. How about this one, Shane, from Will Lentry here, voiceovers. Really, Kentucky is a sleeper. If any other SEC team held Georgia to 13 and Ole Miss to 17 on the road, you would both be putting them in the playoff. That's a good point. But
did we talk Kentucky?
No, they're on a bye week this week.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, we'll be kissing their ass next week. So
yeah, I mean, I think 8-4 looks very realistic. That's the problem, though. I mean, can you get in on 8-4? Probably. I mean, that South Carolina one just screwed you so bad. You know what? I think 9-3 with this schedule, you could have got in.
Yeah. Yeah, South Carolina, boy, they'd like to have them back. Still, again, South Carolina's a very good football team. So here I am again. I'm petting the strays again, Mike. Not going to do it. Not going to get sucked in.
Hey, well, before we go, as always, remind everybody we're brought to you by MyBookie. Head on over, MyBookie Online Sportsbook. Put in that promo code, that SEC. That's THATSEC to double, Shane. Just like he just doubled the animals in his house, double your initial deposit over at MyBookie with that promo code, that SEC. But that's all I got on this episode. You got anything else before we hop off the line?
No, sir, man. It's going to be a wild one. Tomorrow's mailbag, so get those questions in tonight. Best questions get answered, and if you like milk, son, you're going to see it tomorrow. I got a half gallon marinating in the fridge right now, so I'll be downing that through the show tomorrow as well.
Oh man, I forget. That's going to be nasty. But all right, brother, I appreciate you. Can't wait for the milk chugging. Appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out. We'll catch you on the next one.
All right, see you guys. Go Vols.